Oh yeah, sorry, I get a kick out of doing that. Um, Today's experiment, this experiment, the one I'm going to be sharing with you now, is based on, again, my current work in progress and also recognizing my methodology or my process. Some might call it my process. Pretty much established through all of my novel writing. Can't say it's the fact in short stories, but if something's under 20,000 words, probably it's going to follow what I'm sharing today. And we're listening to The Killer, Jerry Lee. Wow. If you've never seen Great Balls of Fire, the movie, I really recommend it. Dennis Quaid, I think, is in it. And what cracks me up is Jerry Lee Lewis had auditioned to supply the voice of Jerry Lee Lewis. Really? Anyway, plotting, pantsing, and procrastinating. Plotting. I know where I'm going. So I'm reading this. Pantsing. I'm going to enjoy the ride. Procrastinating. I'm going to record a video about plotting and pantsing. I heard Stephen King once in an interview say that he basically creates characters and sees where they'll take him, which is pantsing. He lets his characters do their thing and they go. Now, he's Stephen King. Who knows how long it took him to develop that, because it works for him, obviously. Another author, John Crowley, in an interview said that he plots. He just really nails down the plot before he can begin writing. He knows everything. And I find these two things fascinating. I accept that they were said. I accept that the authors believe them. I don't. And it's because I'm solipsistic and the world revolves around me. I'm kidding, maybe. I'm an author. I'm an author. I have an ego. Anyway, I'll accept both to a point. And the point is based on my own experience and talking with a lot of other authors and writers. And it goes like this. I know people who have said they plot everything out. For example, Dan, whoever his name is, I think, the guy who wrote, oh crap, this is going nowhere fast. Anyway, some people wrote that book about the Vatican. Tom Hanks was in it. Anyway, shows you how much that book impressed me, which is the fact. He claims he thoroughly plots out everything, and the book frickin' bored me. Books that I know or books that I read and bore me to tears, invariably I find out they were very heavily plotted. So anyway, I've talked with a lot of authors and writers who claim they plot things out. Okay, plot every step. Good. Okay. Tell me about that. And what I hear from all of them, majority of them, is they plot out, they know the major events in the story. So they'll know the big thing for chapter 1, the big thing for chapter 2, the big thing for chapter 3 to the conclusion, the end of the book. But what they don't know is the skin, the connective tissue, if you will, how they got from 1 to 2. That's pantsing to me. You may know that this was happening here, this was happening here. But if you don't know the exact details of how you got from here to here, you're winging it when you write it. That's my opinion. Same thing with pantsing. People who said, oh, I sit down and I write. I just sit down and I write. Invariably, when I talk with them, one of the things that comes out is they've done a lot of the background work in their head before they sit down to write. And they have a really good idea of where the story is going to go. I'll give you an example. In one of my novels, The Augmented Man, where is it? Here it is. Hello. In The Augmented Man, I knew where that book was going to go. I knew where that story was going to go. I knew the end scene really well. And I knew a lot of the scenes in between. So that was plotted. But in the process of getting from one to the next to the next, I realized the final scene I wrote wouldn't work. Shucks. So that caused me to realize, what's the final scene going to be? And I completed the novel with a final scene. The last edit before we went to the publisher, I realized that final scene, that final chapter, was actually the beginning of the next book in, not series, it was the sequel. It was the first scene in the sequel. Okay, very good. But I did still have to use all the plot points that I had, and they worked. Okay. A relatively longish 9,500 word short story that I wrote, The Absolute Limit of Sound. I think I mentioned it before. I knew the end scene. I knew where that was going. I did not know all the scenes in between, and it took me ever so long to get the voice, the narrative voice of that story down. Really, many repetitions, many goes at it. I think 17 different versions until I got the voice that I wanted. And that final scene is encapsulated in the end, in the climax scene of the book, of the story. So all the way through, I knew where I wanted to go. I got some ideas along the way. Once I got the voice, yeah, the individual scenes just began popping together. The connective tissue still, and some of the connective tissue really freaked me out. I was like, wow, God, I didn't know I was capable of writing this. This is freaking good. Empty Sky. Where is Empty Sky? Oh, it's somewhere around here. Nope, that's not it. Anyway, Empty Sky. You've seen it before. Go get a copy. I knew the beginning, and I knew several scenes in the middle. I had a really good idea of the last scene. I did not like the last scene, but I had a good idea what it was. So it was all plotted, connective tissue. In the process of writing the connective tissue, I realized there was a scene after what I thought was the last scene. That made the book real. Search. Search is another one. Search, okay. I started writing Search in 1978 and never got much further than 4 or 5 chapters with it. Finally, however, after I wrote The Shaman, a big hopping book, this I do have a copy of, The Shaman. Oh, anyway, after I wrote The Shaman, Search is a chapter in The Shaman. And because I got the voice, again, it was a problem with the voice, of the narrator in The Shaman, I could write Search. The big problem with Search was I never knew how it ended. I knew it's based on a true story. I knew how it ended in real life. I didn't know how it ended in fiction. But now that I got the voice and I knew the character, yeah, I got it. I could write the entire thing. Again, I knew the major points. I knew the major plot points that had to occur. The connective tissue, plotting and pantsing. To me, they go together. Whatever your process is, just honor it. I don't really care if you say you're a plotter and do pantsing, if you're a pantser and you do plotting. The one thing you do not want to do, though, is procrastinate. Don't make a video about this kind of stuff. But if you do, use it to learn. That's all. Once again, he goes for the shut off button. There it is. Bye-bye.